Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. We're going to be having a chat about the Man City getting away with the 2-year European ban, and a fine has been reduced, I believe, as well, from 30 to 10 million, if I've seen it right. But yeah, it's a sort of a shocking decision. I mean, what the hell does FFP? What the hell does FFP mean after this? I mean, it's an absolute joke. I mean, speaking as a Liverpool fan, I don't know what our chances are going to be for the league now because City are just going to go mental with the out. We know that there's not going to be any FFP in the new season, or the rules are being relaxed heavily. So who knows how much City are going to spend this coming summer. Yeah, and hopefully we'll have Nitesh joining us in a little bit. But yeah, so let's yeah, it's gonna be shocking. I mean, from what I've seen from most people, a lot of people are angry about this. The only people I've really seen that aren't angry about this are City fans, to be honest, and yeah, they are. Yeah, they're probably happy about this, but
Yeah,
is Nitesh? How are you doing, Nitesh?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Unfortunately, no one can hear. Maybe UEFA can't hear the other fans saying that City needs to be banned.
Yeah, you wait for her in a quiet room right now, locked in. You have the
No,
key.
but honestly, I thought this would be the case. I'll tell you a few reasons why. But before that, you want to get into some of those tweets that I kept sending you?
Yeah, we'll get into some of those tweets. Yeah, let me share the screen.
Before that, Sam is
Yeah.
saying that he's free. You can just send him the link as well.
All right, I'll send Sam the link. Yeah. Yes, but man, I don't know what the hell does this mean, man? It's
Which one?
this decision because, like, people have been saying it makes the top four race interesting for this season, but like City's gonna have a new team next season, aren't they? Basically.
See, I think there was no guarantee that those City players would be staying or leaving. There was no guarantee what would happen. But as I said, there are a few reasons I knew that this was happening, and I was never, as an Arsenal fan, interested in the Champions League spot. I was more concerned about Europa League. I wanted to secure that Europa League spot because that was what we were going to get. And the people who were thinking that City would actually get banned were like trying to fool themselves. I feel honestly because. Because I'll get into the reason. You want me to get into the reasons right now?
Yeah, get into the region. Get into the reasons,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So the first thing is Arsenal and Spurs are not really contenders right now for the Champions League spot. They might probably be for Europa League. The other contenders that can possibly be there are Wolves and Sheffield if Chelsea and Leicester keep fucking it up even more. So what will happen is eventually Leicester and Sheffield and Wolves doesn't have too much of an audience. UEFA needs to make money out of English clubs as well. Because of the pandemic, every body or every business has been suffering. So it was an obvious option that unbanning City for the current upcoming seasons would also benefit UEFA in making more money because City is a rich club. And what will happen is obviously if they are in the Champions League, they would draw some more money rather than Sheffield and Wolves and all these clubs. Next thing, Leicester obviously as well. Next thing, when if they ban City from the Champions League, they may possibly also have to ban them from buying and selling players. Which selling players, no, buying players, I mean to say. So
Yeah.
if they are actually putting some kind of restriction on City, which is known to spend like around 200 million in a single window, there would be a loss for both England, it would be a loss for UEFA, because obviously if you're buying or selling players, you're making purchases and sales, you have to pay tax money to the government as well. So if you are banning one of your biggest spending bodies in the country, then obviously you are going to suffer a loss, because they won't be selling, they won't be buying players, and possibly they will try to keep hold of all their players and not sell them as well. So I thought these two reasons. And one more thing, why will you try to eliminate Liverpool's competition completely in the Premier League and make it a one horse race for the next 2 years? Because if players are leaving Manchester City, Liverpool could dominate for the next couple of years as well, and Manchester United, Chelsea, maybe these clubs may not be able to cope with Liverpool. So the other competition that Liverpool currently has is Manchester City. Why will you put in an effort or a rule to actually eliminate the competition that Liverpool is having and make the Premier League a bit more boring, like maybe the Bundesliga or the League One, where PSG and Bayern are dominating? If you are actually forcing a lot of top talented players to leave Manchester City by giving them that Champions League ban, it would also hurt the league in England. So what they have done is they have smartly removed FFP. Now FFP is gone because of the
So
pandemic. So City
yeah,
is quietly in again because there is no FFP. So they have
there
said,
is none. There
okay,
is none this year. Yeah.
yeah. So even though it was as good as it wasn't there, but what they have done is they have quietly said that we have actually removed FFP. So now we can't ban City because of FFP, because there is no FFP. So are you
Mm.
understanding? They played it very
Totally.
smartly, and they got rid of FFP. And City gets in again into the Champions League, and now possibly they can spend any load of money and keep hold of their players as well.
Yeah, totally get that last point, especially, but at the same time, like, what do you think it makes clubs like United, which are trying to get back to the top, and they've been staying in the rules as far as we know, and yet City can get away with just doing whatever the hell they like, and then they just, pay some money under the table, and they know that it's in UEFA's interest as well to keep them in the competition. It just,
Yeah.
yeah, it just feels dirty.
See, the thing is, that is the thing we were discussing when we were having that talk about the Arsenal agenda. You remember, the thing was, no. What the thing is, the main thing was there. What I was trying to say is that what happens is when you are a club on top of the league, a lot of things keep happening in your favor. Even though for Arsenal it may have not really happened in that much sense, but when you are a top club and you are contributing to the English national side as well,
Yeah,
like in this case, City and Liverpool right now are, even to some extent, Leicester is. So when you're doing that, and even I think Manchester United has a few players there. So when you're doing that, you tend to get some favors coming in from the FA as well, and maybe the FA might have pushed City's case as well. Who knows? Because the FA knows, if today City is making me money, if City is in the Champions League as well, even I make money. If today they are getting banned from UEFA, what do you think in comparison? Even though City, we troll City a lot that they don't have
yeah,
fans, they don't have too many fans. They still will make more money than Wolves. They still will
yes,
make more money than
definitely.
Sheffield. They'll make more money than Leicester. So
Yeah.
even though we may want to keep trolling them that City has no fans, no fans, no fans, but overall, even by merchandise sale, the sponsorship money, the TV money, the ticket, and not the ticket sales now anymore, but overall, by these three at least, they will make more money, way more money than Sheffield, Wolves, or Leicester.
Yeah,
So
I totally accept that point.
yeah,
And City definitely should be up there. The problem I have with this is that you're you're letting City off because teams like us, we've done really well because we've had some great recruitment, and City are getting away with having terrible recruitment. They've bought so many players that haven't worked out, and they're just being able to get away with this. And I'm not 100% like, I don't know the details 100% of why they got banned in the first place, but it's something like, did they like use a company or something to try and put more money in or something, right? That's what I read up or something, that he owned a company and he tried to get around the rules. But it's like, yeah, if that, he's just trying to get a second chance. Well, we know that City do spend the most money, so eventually they would have got the team round with doing it the right way. So why couldn't have City stayed to the right way? Is it just like, did they just knew that this would just come back in their favor either way? Like that's my point. Like, couldn't they just stick to the rules? But
See,
anyway,
you know one thing with respect to these sheikhs and all these guys who have the big monies and the big bucks, they don't always tend to stick to the rules. So that is a well-known fact. They don't. I mean, they think that they are the law in many cases. I'm
yeah.
not saying in this case, but I'm saying in many cases. So that
Um,
is
uh, yeah, sorry,
yeah.
I'm gonna Sam's in the back, so we're gonna bring him in. Hello there to Sam Greenwood. Welcome to the
Hello.
show. Uh,
Hello.
Sam, let's park of that debate. Leicester wants to get into Europa League and not play in the Champions League.
Why would a team willingly not want to go into the
Yeah.
Champions League? I mean, come on.
Because last time they were in the Champions League after they won the league, they nearly got relegated. They
Yeah,
ended up
I
finishing 15th.
know,
Yeah.
I know, but why would a team not want? It doesn't make sense.
yeah,
No
I
team's going
agree.
to say no to to the Champions League.
But you get
But
a lot more. You get a lot more money off the bat just getting the Champions League. It's like
A
if
lot
you're that
50
more
worried,
million.
money, yeah.
if
Sorry,
you're that
50
worried,
million.
yeah, if you're that worried, bin it off at the start. If you're so worried about going down, like
Anyway,
just
anyway,
get in
anyway,
there.
anyway, anyway, I don't want this. John is controlling the show. Yeah, it's good to be on here.
Yeah. So Sam, what do you think generally about the City getting off the ban then? Because me and I just it just feels so dirty.
We all knew it. We all knew it was going to happen. You know, I think it's corruption at the highest level. It must be. All the work that's gone into that. I mean, imagine all the work that's gone into that case from the prosecution side. You know, the team, the prosecution team working that. They worked that case for years. All the details had to get hold of and everything had to put into place. And it was a very strong case. It makes no sense. It's like they say. There's that guy. I can't remember his name. He's a financial expert, and he actually works in sports. And he was on the football terrace a while ago when they was talking about this ban on Terry's show. One of few of his shows are actually good. Anyway, anyway, he said, listen, it makes no sense. How can an airline that it doesn't really make any much money anyway, be putting all that money into these different sponsorship deals? There's like tons more money than the normal sponsorship deals. It just made no sense whatsoever. It just didn't even look right. And when they eventually found out, going through everything, listen, this is just not right. They were just, moving money around to try and beat financial fair play. I'm simplifying it very now. Of course, you can read all the details online and various articles. But when they found out, listen, this is just not right, and they won the case. And it's like, listen, this doesn't make any sense. And now it's just how can they get that overturned? I mean, he was saying that guy was saying, you look at the Emirates. He was actually used Arsenal as an example. So look at the Emirates deal, the one we had, which was a lot less. And that's an airline that also doesn't make any money. I mean, Emirates and Etihad, Qatar, those airlines don't make any money. They're just government finance, basically, by their local states. So it's like, so they're putting all this money into that sponsorship deal, and it just doesn't even make any sense. And it was tons more than the Emirates deal, tons more, and just completely made no sense. And of course, to overturn it, of course, it's corruption. Someone's got hold of someone there, influence, highest level in Qatar, whatever, oil money's somewhere, some sheikh or whatever, it's ridiculous. And it just undermines the whole financial fair play, set of regulations that's supposed to be there by UEFA. What's the point now? I mean, for me, just bin it, get rid of it. Yeah. What's the point? Because it's always going to be like this now. They're going to have to spend all these money and resources and years of trying to actually prove something, take it through all the courts and everything, and then at the end of the day, they're just going to get it reversed, in the highest court. Because they'll probably pay someone, or someone will decide otherwise. It just makes a whole mockery of the whole system, and it's such a shame because we do need regulations like financial fair play. We do need to try and level the playing field so, sheikhs and countries can't come in and own football clubs and give them a huge, huge advantage. But now, since they can't regulate it, I say just get rid of it. Just have it as like survival of the fittest, because they don't care about the small clubs anyway. You saw how the FA treated all the smaller clubs now during the pandemic. They didn't give a shit about them.
Yeah, they don't care.
They didn't get any protection, any help. So, a few clubs have gone bankrupt now. They didn't give a shit. So why not just okay, let's just open it up. Say everyone wants to come in and put money in, put as much money you want, bring in the Saudi family and want to put 100 billion into Newcastle, put 100 billion into Newcastle. See if you can buy every player in the world. See if they can buy Mbappe and Van Dijk and everyone in the world, and see if they can actually make that team possible. I mean, listen, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And for me, it's just might as well just forget it now. Let everyone do what they want, and then we'll see how it goes. See it'll be like I wrote on Twitter today. It could just be a race. It could be a race to get the most crooked oil money in the Middle East. Who can get the most sheikhs and royal families into their clubs. Basically, yeah.
But unfortunately, it won't benefit us because of the fact that we have an owner that doesn't spend.
You know what? We need one of these families to go to Kroenke and say, "What do you want for the club? We'll pay what you want. I mean, within reason." And he'll sell.
Yeah. I think they'll.
Money always talks, mate. Money always talks.
The way they negotiate, they would probably assassinate him or something. If it doesn't,
everyone's got a price. Everyone's got a price, and KSE, they're hurting financially. That sports side of it is hurting because all those American sports have been lacking revenue for a long, long, long time. All his sports finance, what's it called? Franchises. All his sports franchises have been lacking revenue for a long, long time. Their finances have been poor since the pandemic, and it must be. He must be feeling it somehow. That's why he's been restructuring the debt in Arsenal. But I'm sure if some sheikh family or some Saudi oil family or Qatari family or whatever says to Kroenke, "Listen, we want Arsenal. Give us a reasonable price. What do you want for it?" And if Kroenke, says okay, he gives them a price that's going to be high, but he's still going to be happy with it, he'll sell it. I'm sure he would.
The only thing there is that the only asset that he has that is actually making money is Arsenal. So I don't think he'll try to sell Arsenal. He may try to sell some of those other clubs which are not making him money, but Arsenal is making him money, and probably what he has done is his other sources have given him a lot of money even in the pandemic. So he has tried to reduce the debt, and as it works is when you show it as an expense, it reduces your taxes as well. So he has been very smart. He's put in some of the profits there. His taxes get adjusted because of that, because he's showing it as an expense. And now he's trying to get Arsenal into more profit so that it can give him more money. And as you said, that is other clubs are into debt and they're not giving him any real money. So I think he'll try to get rid of the bad debts rather than selling Arsenal, I feel.
Well, it's like if you look at all his other franchises, like the Denver Nuggets, the Colorado Rapids, even the St. Louis Rams is his big, NFL football team. Now with all the money going into that new stadium, he had to get that extra 500 million loaned to get the stadium finished, which is still like a couple of years away. And those teams just aren't making any money. They're in the red. And actually, our Arsenal now is in the red as well. I mean, our last figures were in the red. We're still going to be in the red now with the way the figures have been going. And Arsenal at the moment is still probably giving him money in terms of it's still worth more than what he paid for it. But if you look at Arsenal as a product, how much it costs as a business entity, the value is shrinking all the time. The value of Arsenal is shrinking, and for Kroenke and as a sports franchise and as a businessman, he has to look at that and see at what point is that value small enough where he's getting close to what he paid for it again. You remember how much he paid? I can't remember how much he paid for it, but it's not far from the value shrinking to that level again. So he won't actually, on paper, actually be making money. If he continues this way for another couple of years, he won't. The value of the club won't be more than what he paid for it.
Yeah, he's got to think that the longer he stays in mid-table, like in this position, he's losing value. Like he's got to sell soon or put in some money, because like just giving some of these players new contracts, you're just going to stay where you are. You're not going to go above that, because like if we see Wolves are not going to stand still, and these other clubs, like they're going to slightly improve again.
No, well, the thing is with football, right? Is unless you can create something massive through merchandising or something like that, the only way a football club increases in value is by increasing the amount of fans, again going through merchandising and people buying into all the different things, then increasing the sponsorship values of their sponsorship deals, and then through being successful on the pitch, not just prize money, but it's all the domino effect of winning competitions. Not only do you get more prize money and more TV money and all that revenue that comes in extra, but all of a sudden you get bigger sponsorship deals, you get bigger kit deals. Everything kicks on from that, and that's what increases the value of a football club. It's on the pitch success. We've seen this throughout the world. All the biggest football clubs, the football clubs that can get the most success, generate the most money. That's the only way you're making money as a football club, unless you've got some kind of special other interest there somewhere. It's just on the field performance. So when Arsenal's going downhill, we just keep going downhill. The size of the club financially is also shrinking, and it has to turn at one point. At some point, this is what I'm trying to understand with the Kroenkes is how long are they going to let the club slide in the wrong direction until they wake up and realize, we're going to have to maybe put some money in here to try and turn this around, because this is the same with all businesses. If you have a self-sustaining business, which is what Arsenal essentially is, you want that money you want the business to generate its own money to be able to survive and hopefully generate profits. Well, if all of a sudden that money, you're not generating profits anymore, it's not even breaking even. The money that's coming in is actually now. You think Arsenal's wage bill increasing, the revenue decreasing, all the sponsorship level, everything decreasing. Overall, Arsenal's going to be going into minus. We've already started going into minus last year. So if you look at Arsenal as a business, we're in the red every year. Operating costs, operating figures are in the red every year. You have to, that decreases the value. And then at some point, the owner has to say, okay, well, this isn't self-sustaining anymore. There's only two ways to get around it. One, you put some money into it to build it up again and reinvest. Or two, the only other way you're going to generate money is by selling off all your assets. And so which again doesn't make sense, because if Kroenke then says, okay, let's sell all our best players to generate the money and let's rebuild a new squad, that's not going to make sense, because we're still going to be 4 or 5 years away from doing anything on the pitch to generate any more money anyway. So that's just shooting himself in the foot. And for a short-term gain, in the long term, it's going to hurt the club. So really, the only way he's going to get out of this is if he actually wakes up, smells the coffee, and realizes, listen, now is the time. I'm going to have to start putting some money into this club to reinvest for the future. That is what he's going to have to do. But whether he does it, I don't know. Whether he decides to sell instead, maybe. The next couple of years now for Arsenal are going to be very, very interesting in terms of how the ownership is going to be going. And we're going to see now in the summer, yes, we've had this pandemic. Yes, that's affected all clubs in a bad way. Of course it has. But the owners still have money. And it's about them being able to put in some of that money if they want, and to show where the ambition lies in this football club. And now is the time. We're at a tipping point now where we've got Arteta in, who seems to be doing a good job, or at least we're going in the right direction. We all see all he needs to do is invest in the squad and get in 2, 3, 4 players that can really help us, boost us. 2 or 3, 4 really good players to help us go in the right direction. Now, to do that, yes, we're going to have to sell off a lot of our deadwood who we don't need, who are just bringing our squad down. We can generate some money through that. But still, like we know, the value of those players altogether is still not going to be a huge amount of money. So we're still going to need money invested to buy the players we want to buy. And that's where I think we need to see the ambition from the Cronkies to put that extra money in to cover that, to buy those players. And that's what we're going to see this summer, if they're going to do that or not. If they don't do that, if they don't put any money in, then we're just going to have to generate our own money from selling players, and that's all we get. Then I'm sorry. Then the future, the short-term future of this football club is not looking very good at all, because it's just really, unless they can really be smart with that money and recruit some real like gems, rough diamonds and gems in the bush, so to speak. Some real players we don't really know about who can become good, very soon. Some real good recruiting, in other words, which we've already seen we can't really do. But that's what they're going to have to do. Unless they can do that, then we're going to be struggling for the next two seasons at least. And then that has that knock-on effects on the value of the club. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, to bring it back to this ban, as a Liverpool fan, we had Nitesh, and Nitesh was talking earlier, and he said that if City would have got this ban upheld, UEFA would have had to put in some restrictions on them buying players during this, and he said that Liverpool would have dominated because they would have had no competition. But my argument to that is, wouldn't we have deserved to dominate because we actually recruited the players properly, and we actually got the right people in, and City just had a huge blunder and wasted their money on these players, and then they got to cheat to get back in again.
I would just like to say one thing before that is that, see, the problem with City is not that they have overspent. The problem is that they have been getting in money, as Sam said, in the wrong way somewhere, and pushing around money without expecting it to be detected in ways which are not legal. So that is the problem. So they have not actually overspent, and the ban was not because of that. As Sam said, it was because of the fact that they had illegally put in some money here and there and squandered it around and done a lot of illegal stuff with their financial records and stuff. So that was the reason it was actually being banned. They were actually being banned.
But they squandered the money. But even if they should have had less money and they got it in the wrong way, we still use the money we had. Why shouldn't they? Why didn't they use the money they had as well? Because they couldn't have competed with us after the last year. I don't get this.
No, it's just I don't know. Maybe someone's misunderstanding it somewhere. What it is basically what you can say is the money that's being used, that City has used on players. A lot of that money shouldn't have been used on players. They've used too much money, right? That's basically what it boils down to, and that's what makes it so unfair. Is because now they've used that money, they've created that squad that's been that good. You can argue that the last 2 seasons where City have been as good as they were, that's come off of money, that they weren't allowed to use. They've used too much money, and that's what makes the whole thing so incredibly unfair. And especially when you compare it to Liverpool, who, as far as we know, have done things the right way. I mean, I'm going to say they have, because so far we've seen no evidence, to the contrary. So Liverpool have done things the right way. City haven't, so it makes it incredibly unfair. On Liverpool, I would agree. Liverpool have done things the right way. City haven't, and for me, that's part of the reason why it makes the whole thing so incredibly unfair. You look at that team, City. That you can argue that team, that City team 2 seasons ago, now getting on 2 seasons ago, who absolutely dominated the league and got the new record and everything. And even Liverpool with their incredible points haul couldn't beat them. You could argue that team there. It's on the back of using money they shouldn't have been able to use.
I think if we were to go in the back of City and you go, oh, what did you use? What did you use that money on that you smuggled in? And we go, oh, you bought that player. Oh, you take that out. Oh, what would you put in there?
What it boils down to is the money they used on players, all the money they used, what they're saying to balance it out is they've used, because you're allowed to use in financial fair play, you're allowed to balance the figures by selling players and also investing in your infrastructure, like into your training grounds and things like that. So basically, what they did is they said the money they got from this, a lot of the money they got from this huge deal they got with Etihad, which they got so much more it didn't even make sense financially. The money they actually got out of it, they put something like 30 or 40 million or something like that into the whole training ground thing, which is like, it just doesn't make sense. And they realize it's money that they've just funneled money in the books into different areas from that deal to make it look like, you know, it's within fair play when actually it isn't. You know, it's obviously money that shouldn't be a part of the equation to balance out the figures. So that's what they found out when they investigated it very thoroughly. They spent years doing it, and you know, and this is where we are now, where it's been overturned. God knows why. I haven't seen the reason why they've overturned it, but I just don't see. I mean, even from this is what boggles my mind is they spent a lot of time investigating that, showing that very clearly how that was done, how they, you know, City managed to manipulate their finances to try and look like it was part of fair play, and the courts realised this and said, no, yeah, we agree. This is, we agree. This is not good. This is not within fair play. It was quite clear with all the evidence that was shown. Now, someone else has looked at that evidence and said, oh, no, that's okay. It just doesn't, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And it just pisses me off no end because it's just so clear corruption. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's ruining our sport. It's ruining our sport so much now. All this corruption that's going on at the highest level with different things. But yeah, back to your point. It's it's them cooking the books, so to speak, trying to hide money that they actually used, they shouldn't have used, to put it into areas that can go within financial fair play. And they were caught. They were actually given their punishment, which was a decent punishment. And now it's been overturned, and it's so unfair on Liverpool, because essentially you can say that season, 2 seasons ago now, where you guys got 90 odd points and still didn't win the league. You should have won the league. You should have won the league. They should take that title away from City, and say, they should go back from when because essentially this has come from the Etihad deal. They should go back to when the Etihad deal was given and take everything away from City after the Etihad deal. And say, sorry, all of that is we think that has come from illegal money, illegal finances. Sorry, that title gone. Give that title then to Liverpool.
Will we get anything out of it? I don't
know. Did they beat us? Did they beat us in anything during that time? I can't remember. I haven't got it all on top of my head right now.
Was it League Cup?
Did they beat us in the League Cup? If they did, then they should take that away from them. That's what I'm saying.
When was this? How early was this Etihad deal? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember. I've just jumped on the stream here now. I haven't really checked everything through, but yeah. I mean, you can go from when that Etihad deal went through. It's basically money from the Etihad deal that they've just funneled all over the place.
No, but what I can say is
2011.
Yeah.
That is a long time. That's longer than I thought.
Yeah, it's basically the time they looked at. I think it was 2011 to 2014. I think it was, or 2015. And during that period, that's going back then. They found so many irregularities with that deal. Yeah.
Yeah, they beat us in the 2014 season with Rodgers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people are saying we should have that back, but they just want Gerrard to get the title, I think.
Well, that's being. You can. For me, morally, that's the right thing to do. But of course, there's so much else implicated here and involved that you can't really go that far. But a 2-season Champions League ban is probably a decent ban. because it takes a lot away from them financially. I would probably go on top of that and say, listen, you're going to get a 2 transfer window ban as well, because essentially that's where they've been, using their money on transfers. So you can't do transfers in 2 seasons. The same thing happened to Chelsea. Chelsea got the 2 window ban, and look how it affected them. Now it's come back to bite everyone in the arse because they've just saved money, and now they're just going to bought half of fucking Europe. But so imagine if it happened to City. They'll probably save up 500 billion and then go and buy all of Europe the season after when they're allowed to again. So at the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense anyway. So that's what I say. Just scrap the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like it's a bit of a clown show now, because like now as Liverpool fan, like next season is even bigger question mark. But we apparently we're not signing anyone, and now City can sign everyone. So like that title is it's a lot more in favor now.
And the other thing is Liverpool now doesn't have money to spend as per what was the statement, but City obviously has a lot of money to spend, and Chelsea is already spending. The second thing I wanted to point is I think what they have done is, with respect to this FFP thing, if you remember what Real Madrid did when they had the Ronaldo money from last year, they spent it on Eden Hazard and signed him before the financial year ended and showed his signing in those books. So they had spent the 100 million for Hazard there, the one that they got from Ronaldo, and then in the next year they had another budget which again would comply with FFP if they would spend. So I think what City has done here, when they spent 200 million, they have done something like that and adjusted the books to show it in either case. So because of that, probably it has been, this is the main thing that is showing up, and that is why the ban was probably expected. But now, as I said, it's not going to work. But the main problem now is with Liverpool saying that we don't have money to spend, with City showing that they have money to spend. I am getting the feeling that Newcastle deal will also be done because FA wants money. They want money pumped into England as well. England will want money pumped into the country as well. So Newcastle will also be sold, and this will happen. And then what happens is these 3 clubs, especially Chelsea, Newcastle and City, no FFP, they will keep buying players till they can. And that is why I said at the start itself, not on your show, but previously as well, that Liverpool will probably not retain the title next season. If they didn't win it will not happen.
It's interesting, all those things you're saying there, very interesting. I agree with your assessment there with a lot of it. But the thing I've been reading that's keeping this Newcastle deal from going through, and again, it all boils down to the same thing. Apparently, it's Qatar. It's that same Qatari group who own Manchester City, who are stopping this deal because they're protesting the deal. They don't want it to go through. They're spending tons of money legally to try and influence this deal not going through. But they're putting protests and everything, because basically it all boils down to that money going into Newcastle is from a Saudi Arabian royal family, one of the royal family groups in Saudi Arabia. And Qatar and Saudi Arabia, they hate each other, right? They really hate each other. And Qatar are like, this Qatari group, they're like, sorry, we don't want the Saudi Arabian money in the Premier League. We don't want them to rival us, because they know if they get in, they're much bigger than that Qatari group. Listen,
they are 5 times more.
That's Saudi Arabia. That's Saudi Arabian family business or whatever it is. They're worth over 220 billion pounds. 220 billion pounds. Kroenke's like 8 billion. And then you've got this family with 220. And so, of course, Manchester City and that Qatari group are shitting themselves. They're like, wow, if they're going to come in and buy Newcastle, then hello, goodbye everyone else. I mean, if they get to spend their money, Newcastle all of a sudden, they're going to have. Remember Manchester City when they the Qatari family took over, they managed to buy Robinho and all those players. I mean, I bet you they'd never even heard of Manchester City. They'd never heard of it. They didn't even know what Main Road was back then. Before they built the Etihad Stadium. They didn't even know what Main Road was. They probably didn't even know where Manchester was, apart from Manchester United. And then all of a sudden, they're all playing for them. Of course, they're all mercenaries playing for the money. And that's exactly what's going to happen for Newcastle. They're gonna all of a sudden they're gonna have all these players, and it's gonna be ridiculous if it goes through. But tell you what, it's been taking so long now, and there's been so many, there's so many bumps in the road in that deal, mainly because of what this Qatari group have been able to stop them on. Apparently, there's some rules and regulations and blah blah blah. They're basically spending tens of millions financially to try and stop this deal. They're trying to make sure everything's done properly, which ironically is probably the opposite of what they did when they took over City. But they're doing it now, making sure everyone's going through due diligence and, you're doing that, you're doing that, you're doing that, you're doing that, And I tell you what, it looks a bit ridiculous, but that is, ironically, is the only reason why Newcastle haven't been ratified to be taken over by that group, is because that Qatari group have protested. They don't want it to happen. If it wasn't for them, if there was no Qatari group or whatever involved here in the Premier League, that deal would have gone through very quickly.
Yeah,
it will happen in 2 years. It will happen in 2 years.
It could probably still happen. They're just using all their legal resources to try and drag it out and try and stop it. But eventually, if everything's done correctly, they can't stop it, of course. But they will try and drag it out and make everyone spend as much money as possible. It's this typical lawyers protest.
It doesn't
thing,
matter. They don't have enough money to actually stop them, because even if they spend their entire money, they have 5 times more money.
I know, but I'm saying that they're just trying as best they can to fuck it up for them, to try and make it as difficult as possible. Yes, 99% or 95% it'll still probably happen, but it's just making it as difficult as possible. That's what they're doing.
The reason I'm saying it will take 2 years, 2 more years, is because they have an influence on the World Cup as well. And once the World Cup is done, there is no way that they can stop it anymore. If they have the influence only till the 2022 World Cup, so if it does not happen till that point of time, I guarantee as soon as the World Cup is done, either in the same year or the next year, it will surely go through.
It's sick, is it? It's sick how all that money is just controlling everything, isn't it? Those guys. It's all from the Middle East. It's all coming from there,
Yeah.
I was reading that as well. There's they've done broadcasting piracy offences or something as well.
Yeah, that's part of it as well, because the beIN Sports Network, the Qatari, they've been losing so much money apparently from all the streaming that's done through Saudi Arabia. That's one of the reasons. But also it's historic. Qatar and Saudi Arabia, they hate each other at so many levels.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh. But it's there's so many levels to this. Like you said, Sam, with the corruption in this game, it's we had the infamous figures come out of being corrupted, and now it's it's all seeping out, and we're seeing just everything as it is. And
I'll tell you what, for me, I think a lot more has happened with so many clubs. I think there's been a lot of books being cooked all over the place to show financial fair play. That they're doing it correctly. I bet you there's been so much, trickery going on. Manchester City and Chelsea are just among, the teams that have been caught. I bet you there's plenty of other teams that have done the same thing or similar, and haven't been caught yet.
But I can say one thing: if these Saudi owners take over Newcastle, probably their total amount or the money that they have might be the combined sum of the other 19 club owners.
Probably more.
Yeah, probably more than that. So they can actually start a league of their own if they want to.
Exactly, and that's something that's also been talked about for many years, isn't it? That's another interesting debate. Really, is there's been talk a long time. For the biggest teams in Europe to create their own Super League.
Oh yeah.
Where you basically have the best teams from each country just create their own league. Which is not like a Champions League. It's just basically a league where they play each other home and away and see who's the best. And and I was reading these different ideas for the setup. They were quite interesting. This was a few years ago. For example, I was looking at an American model where you have, say, a league. Say they create a league of 20 teams, right? And everyone plays each other home and away. And then what you do is when you have for example, the top 8 teams, then when those games are played, all of a sudden it becomes like a playoff model where you have team number 1 play team number 8, like in a best home and away aggregate thing. And the same, like the American sports teams do, they have that playoff at the end of the season, where basically you find out between those 8 teams then who is the best, And some interesting ideas there. I don't know whether that could actually happen in real life or whatever, but I know they certainly want it, because then what they'll do is they create all their own terms and conditions. They basically create their own body, their own organization. They would create their own TV network. They would control everything, from top to bottom. And that's what the different football associations are scared of, that happening.
Absolutely, yeah. So Nitesh sent me some tweets. Well, we're gonna bring them up. So some of them were hilarious, especially one of them. But let me just we'll bring up the funny one first, because this is
don't play the sound. It might get a
I didn't share the audio, so
yeah.
You can't hear it, can you?
No, can't hear it now.
Okay. Oh God.
What's the name of that artist? What's his name? I forgot his name.
DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled, that's it. Yeah. I've seen him before.
What was he? His famous for Another One. That's
actually pretty much probably how it works. Actually, I think it's probably not far from that.
Who should I open up next? I mean, let's go to someone who tried to flip it. So let me just find the tweet itself. But I believe there was a tweet from Mark Ogden who was saying that basically the band. Yeah, this was. He tried to flip it. He says that the top 4 race is basically more exciting now because the band didn't go through. Which
is he a City fan? Is he a City fan? Just check the profile. You'll know.
I think he's a United fan, actually, because I have watched a lot of ESPN. So it doesn't benefit his club much.
If you get into the profile, you'll know. Can you just get into the profile? You'll know probably. His paid post in Liverpool.
Yeah, but it's probably just work he's done for ESPN. But I'm sure.
I think you're gonna find out there.
Yeah,
the cover pic. What does the cover pic show? Or
what you mean?
Yeah.
Different clubs.
Yeah, it looks like Spanish clubs. Yeah, so got Mallorca on there as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like he's got his club on there, but we'll bring up Ryan's tweet. He wasn't very happy.
Is that okay with that bullshit Man City 2-year ban fully overturned so they can pay Champions League next season? Now you watch other clubs will follow suit and do what Man City was accused of doing, and UEFA won't have a leg to stand on. That's true, because now there's precedence, right?
Yeah.
So it means other clubs can do the same thing. That's also part of this ridiculous thing.
No, but other clubs need to have money to feed UEFA, like the DJ Khaled was.
Yeah.
they may not have the suitcases of cash ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But
it's so fucking bad.
If anyone was expecting that Arsenal is making the Champions League, then that is Daniel, and he'll have to sing the Ozil
song. Did you see Simpy put out that clip today of him saying that?
They're coming back to bite him, aren't they?
He just didn't think. He didn't think, did he? That's what we tried to tell him. Listen, we looked at these.
We tried to tell him casually. We tried to tell him based on logic after we did all the calculations as well. We tried to tell him a third time just for his sake, and he didn't listen. And then he said that I'll do the Ozil song. So now he should do the Ozil song.
Yeah, we looked at those, what was it? Those league fixtures. What's it called? The prediction. Yeah, the league prediction things. Yeah. And we could see clearly it's not going to happen.
And Sam did it twice. He even changed some of the results here and there to favor Arsenal a bit more the second time, but still it didn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
And the supercomputer said it too. They said we'll finish 9th.
Oh yeah. The supercomputer is pretty close. The thing is, like, you guys are so, like, you guys are that team that will, like, give you a little bit of hope, and then you'll just fall completely off again, and then you'll just
even I said it on every show that I don't think we'll beat Spurs because Arteta can't think like Mourinho, and Mourinho outplayed him in tactics yesterday. Otherwise, performance-wise, Arsenal outplayed Tottenham yesterday. But tactically, Mourinho got it right, and he outplayed Arteta. As simple as that.
He changed to a 4-4-2, which made our wing backs less effective.
Yeah. What did you guys think of Bellerin? Because I saw AFT were loading him up, giving him 8 out of 10 and all that, and saying he had a brilliant performance.
Bellerin had a good game yesterday. The problem is he made so many runs. If you see yesterday's game, he gave Pepe the ball and he made the run forward. But the problem with Pepe is when Pepe gets the ball, he never gives it back. If you see yesterday's game, he had the ball at his feet. Then he starts dribbling around, he starts running around, and Bellerin has already made that run into the box and he's already waiting for that return pass, which never comes. So then if Bellerin, after a point of time, stops making those runs because he knows that if I'm running into the box, this guy's not going to feed the ball, what is the point? Then people will start blaming Bellerin, that Bellerin does not make the runs. So that is the reason I was saying that even if Bellerin played like 20 odd minutes with Saka, the game would have been very different on that right hand side.
Yeah. I mean,
Pepe's a big problem as well, isn't he? For me, Pepe, I'm not happy with Pepe.
Single-footed player won't survive in the Premier League. Needs to play cam. Can't play on the wing.
Honestly, I'm gonna be real with you guys. When you guys go, when Ryan and that go into the agenda, I turn off the channel. I cannot stand it. It's just like every time a foul goes in, you just know he's on the tip of his tongue. He wants to just say there's something against Arsenal again. And I'm just nearly off my chair.
But yesterday, I tell you what, Michael Oliver yesterday, I thought he had a good game. I mean, there was a lot of decisions there that were very correct. He gave like 2 or 3 Tottenham players yellow cards for the same fouls they did on us. So there was even consistency there as well. You know, I mean, for me, you can't really complain about Michael Oliver yesterday, but Ryan and that lot, you know, bless them, they always, you know, one little decision is an agenda, isn't it?
But one thing was there when Lo Celso threw his hand into Ceballos' face, that could have been a red card. I am not too sure because
was it intentional? That's the thing.
Yes. There was no ball. There was no ball around anywhere. The ball had already.
I didn't even see that.
He got a yellow card.
But Lo Celso got a yellow card. I remember him getting a yellow card.
Yes. When he got that yellow card, the ball was nowhere near. He just threw his left hand, or I don't remember. I think left hand into Ceballos' face, and
I think that was accidental. That must have been accidental.
No, there was no ball. The ball had already gone. If you see, that is why he even got a yellow card.
No, I mean, you can still be accidental if the ball's not there. If you just if you're not looking at the player and you just put your arm like that.
No, just look at that replay. He was just looking at Ceballos. Ceballos was trying to run around him, and he put his hand in his face.
I love it. My best mate just sent me a message saying he won't be watching Arsenal again this season. He's done with them. he's like, I think he gets too angry.
Oh yeah, he's an Arsenal fan. No, but he'll watch the Liverpool game with you definitely, because that is a must win. And come on, we are not out of the Europa League hunt at least. That was the target. It wasn't Champions League. For some deluded people, maybe Champions League. I'm not talking particularly about anyone, not pointing fingers at Daniel, but I'm just saying the Champions League was never our target. It was the Europa League. We need to get into the Europa League. and we need to get that 25 odd million because we will be. Sam, you're not on mute. So our target.
Someone just sent me a video. Someone sent me a video.
I thought that was Filipino porn or something.
Yeah, close.
You know, Natasha would know, I think.
I know a lot of porn.
He's an expert on porn. He could hear it. He knew that. He's an expert there.
Big up Adrian. I will check out your video after this. Thanks for tuning in, mate.
Yeah, so what I was saying is that our realistic target was never the Champions League. It was more the Europa League, and we are still on course to get that because Spurs might have beaten us yesterday, but they may end up losing their last 3 games. You never know with Spurs. And we were underrating Sheffield. They beat Spurs 3-0, they beat Chelsea 3-0. So imagine that. Anything can happen.
McGoldrick masterclass, man. I couldn't believe it. The guy can't stop scoring now. You unlocked him.
Yeah. Imagine Antonio getting 4 this game week.
I know. Yeah, it was like Aston Villa actually winning a game and someone scoring a brace and Trezeguet.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
This game week has been crazy. But I said don't take Soyuncu and he got red card. What a stupid red card. How can you do that stupidity?
I didn't actually see it. Like I saw him getting mad. Did he just push the guy into the net or something, right? Didn't he?
Yeah, Dominic Solanke scored and I think he kicked the ball in his face or something like that, or he kicked it and he got sent off. I just saw the Vardy goal and I had slept off, so I didn't exactly see the red card, but I heard a lot about it. And then Johnny Evans scored an own goal.
Yeah, he did.
I said don't take Leicester defender.
You did. My FPL's doing terrible this week. I think until Man United plays, and I have like 29 points or something.
I have 38. Yeah, I think I have 38. I think I have 38 points. I think I got.
I think like the league average is under 20. Yeah. Like, everyone's done terrible because all the good
imagine having Antonio and what's his face Lanky now. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that guy that Nitesh shared with Antonio.
Yeah, 60-something points just on.
Yeah, he had Dini, he had Antonio. Antonio was 23, I think 23 into 3. He got 69. He used triple captain.
Oh my God!
And
triple captain Antonio. What a madman!
The other killer one was Sterling. He got 2 goals and 1 assist, so he got some 20 odd points as well.
Jesus Christ, bloody hell!
And I was so tired yesterday. As soon as Vardy scored, I thought, okay, Vardy hat-trick incoming probably. Bournemouth will score 1 or 2. And I wake up that Bournemouth humiliated Leicester.
Yeah, they got Leicester crumbled when they had after the red card.
And this is exactly what was happening in that season once they actually won the league and went into the Champions League. We'll not go into it because you said no. But
but I know what you're saying. But the thing is, you've got to remember, what often happens with a team like, you have like a hangover effect, right? Also, first of all, they got rid of a couple of players. Mahrez went and a couple of other important players went.
Kante,
yeah, that's it. Kante went and a couple of other important players. And you have that hangover effect. I mean, you've had a perfect season where basically everything went their way. Every kick, every goal, every, everything that hit the post went in and, everything went their way. And then that next season, it just doesn't, and all of a sudden things start to creep in and you just can't have that level of optimum play for 2 seasons in a row. Not with that type of squad they had, and then all of a sudden when they were further down the league, instead of trying to build up again with the same manager that actually got them there, they sacked Ranieri and that set them back as well, So it's taken them a while, but Leicester managed to do it again. I mean, they're not going to win the league, of course, but with Rodgers, they've managed to get a few new players in and build a good squad, and now until the end of the season. Now they're up there in the Champions League spots. I mean, they were second for a while, weren't they? I mean, so they've actually had a very good season for Leicester. I mean, you've got to give it to them. They've had a very good season, but their squad is so small. Like I've been saying on Twitter, unfortunately, as soon as they get 1 or 2 injuries or suspensions, their team crumbles because their squad players are just not anywhere near as good as their first team players.
Yeah, and the other thing was it happens when you have a championship side, that is a champion winning side. It happened with
Mm.
Chelsea as well. They won it with Mourinho, and when Conte came in a year later, they won it again. So when you have that team which has already won the title, and then you again make a few changes and get them back going, they can probably produce good form as well. And the other thing was with Leicester was they were not performing bad in the Champions League. They went through the group stages, they went
Yeah,
into the
yeah,
knockout stages, they were doing it
exactly.
there. But then, as I said, when you lose some players and you don't have enough players coming in as backup, you eventually fall down in the league. So if
No,
this
of
time
course.
Chilwell and Madison leave, and probably if NDD leaves as well, they will be next to battling relegation in the upcoming season unless they sign 4 or 5 quality players. So that is why I don't think that they are too keen to go into the Champions League, because yes, they will get 50 odd million, but their players, which is like Chilwell and
Yeah, but
Madison, do not have this value that they're earning every
they might be able to
year.
keep them. You don't know you don't know they're going. You don't know they're going.
Chilwell is going.
They might be able
Chilwell
to
is
keep
going.
them.
Chilwell
You
is
don't
going.
know that. You don't know that.
It is almost done. It's almost done, because I'll tell you the reason. Because Alonso and Emerson are both going to be sold. Alonso might be retained as a backup left back, but they need to sign a left back. Definitely, that is the case, because Emerson for sure is leaving. So Chilwell is the main man. That is the target, and
It all
he is.
depends. You
Yeah,
can't say what's going to happen next season until you actually see what their recruitment's like and what their squad for next season is like. You got to wait and see. And with Rodgers, he's a good manager. He's a very good manager tactically. He gets the
yeah.
best out of the squad. I mean, listen, they might, next year is going to be next year. Listen, the top four is locked next year for me. I mean, no one's getting in the top four beyond. It's Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, and Manchester United.
Yeah.
It's those four teams. No one's got any chance of getting in beyond them. Those four teams are so solid. And then it's a battle of fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. That's the battle that Leicester will have together with us, Spurs, Wolves, Everton. A couple of other teams.
Yeah.
The only team I will disagree on was Chelsea, because
Why?
of the defense. Defense,
Yeah, but they
very
got.
bad.
But what if they're recruiting the defense this season?
Yes, that is what.
Yeah.
If they are signing Chilwell
Yeah.
and they get a better goalkeeper, because Kepa is terrible.
Yeah, Kemper
If
is bad. Yeah, I agree. But you look at you look at what they've done this season with what they've got this season, and they're going to be adding Ziyech, most likely Havertz and Werner. You tell me they're not going to get into the top four. Of course they will.
no,
That's a lot better options off the bench than they
their
currently have now.
their goal scoring is not the problem. If you see, they have so many goals this season as well, but their defense is so bad. Even Rudiger has become so bad from what he was last season. Their defense is so bad that if
Well,
they score more goals, they
they'll
will
probably buy
concede
a
it.
defender.
They
They
need
should.
to. They need to.
They'll probably buy a defender because I'm sure
Yeah,
you're not the only. I'm sure we're not the only people who realise that. They've got to realise it in Chelsea too. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So I mean, if they
buy
buy a decent defender, that's a lock in for the top four. Man United, they're going to buy
Yeah.
one or two good players. They're looking really good, and then you've already got Manchester City and Liverpool are already a level above everyone else. So the top four is locked. No one's getting in that top four for me, in my opinion. So everyone else is just a battle for for the Europa League spots.
Yeah, there has to be a miracle at Arsenal of massive spending, which won't happen to get them in.
We're gonna have to
championship.
overperform. We're gonna have to overperform next season. We have to have like a miracle season where everything goes our way. But if you listen to Ryan and everyone else and Richard and all that gang, nothing ever goes our way. So there's no chance of that happening, is there?
No, I
Yeah.
get the feeling that other clubs like Wolves and Everton may have a chance because they are spending money as well. And if Chelsea obviously gets a new keeper and at least a couple of defenders, one centre back, solid centre back, and a left back, then obviously things change. Because Aspilicueta is there, he can play right back. They need one more proper centre back who can partner with either Rudiger, Christensen, or Zuma, and a left back because Alonso can't defend and Emerson is done. So they need a left back, a centre back, and a new keeper. So if they get these three, then probably they can assure that they will finish in the top four. Otherwise, they may be in the top four just like they were this season, but they can drop out of it. Anything can happen. West Ham beat them this time. Which was other club? Sheffield has knocked them around like fools
Yeah.
in the 3-0 defeat. So they
Yeah.
don't have any problem scoring goals. Christian Pulisic was scoring for fun. He wasn't even playing. He was in and out of the team. He's scoring for fun. They were getting penalties every second or third game when he was running into the box and he was being tripped around. So they don't have too many problems. Giroud was also scoring goals. Tammy has been up and down, but he has decent stats as well. Werner again will be in his first season. Havertz will be in his first season if he joins, and Ziyech also win his first season in the Premier League. So they will need some time to settle, but the goals will be there. But then the problem is Jorginho is slow. He's so slow. He's as slow as Xhaka. And the other problem is their defense. Because Jorginho is also slow, their defense is suffering the same problem as we are. So if Kante is back in the team, he's playing regularly. I think Kante and Kovacic is a good combination. Gilmore is the future. Jorginho, they need to get rid of. One season,
Yeah.
he had a good start to the season, but
You know,
few games, that's about it. He's another Granit Xhaka. Those slow defensive midfielders don't survive in the
Yeah.
Premier League, just like one-footed players don't.
Yeah, what do you guys think about this? Adrian was saying that Arsenal dominated the second half, missed their chances.
We didn't
And
dominate the second half.
I was about to bring up. I'm gonna bring up something from stats of the game. So we're saying that Spurs didn't have any chances, but they had more shots on target and shots than you. And the only thing you dominate was possession.
Possession. Yeah.
Which a lot of people have been saying. It's like, what good is possession if you're just like?
Hey, look, and Oliver's given them six more fouls and 2 more yellow cards.
That's totally in line.
That's an agenda for you.
The stats don't point out to the agenda, do they?
What Spurs was doing in the first half was just trying to knock around Arsenal players and get the wind out of them. So that is what they were trying to do right through the first half. And in the second half, as I said, we had at one point of time 80% of ball possession and they had 20%. The only place that we have lost that game is tactically to Mourinho, where Arteta can't compare with Mourinho. And that is as simple as that. Because he was trying to press so hard. Granit Xhaka, I said it yesterday as well, Granit Xhaka was pushing forward. When Xhaka pushes forward, I'm not saying that he doesn't play good balls pass through balls and stuff. But the thing is, when he runs forward and say Ceballos is at the back, he can't come back into position on time and then be there when they are counter-attacking. On the other hand, when Xhaka doesn't move forward and Ceballos pushes forward, Ceballos does not always play those kind of perfect through balls, but he also can play those passes. But the other benefit is Ceballos is quicker than Xhaka and he can come back into position. So that was the tactic. When Xhaka was pushing forward and even Ceballos was the only one there, they played some long balls and they got in a few shots at us. So that is where tactically Arteta has been caught out and he has not been able to compete with Mourinho. And eventually, after pushing, we did not score our chances. Aubameyang wasted one by hitting the post. The other one was a great save by Lloris as well. So if we had converted those chances, we would have probably not lost that game. We would have held on to a draw or maybe... Yeah.
Natasha, if you think about it too, though, Martinez made some good saves and Kane hit the post as well. So they didn't score all their chances either.
It was pretty even in my opinion. It was pretty even. But yeah, we had some good chances. They had some good chances. Yeah, for me, it's pretty even in the end. But they took their chances better than ours.
I can't stand these cop out excuses like, oh, we were going for the game, so that's why they had chances. No, they just had chances.
Going for which game?
Terrible. No, there's plenty of people out there going, we were going for the game, so that's why they created chances. No, your defense is dog shit and they carved you open.
We conceded from a set piece. So
no, I'm talking about the Kane chances, just laying it in the game that he hit the post from. That was just your defense falling asleep again, and he just got through you. Simple as that. There's nothing about you chasing the game or anything. Maybe you would have had a player back and it would have been harder for them, but he still got through.
We were the one where he ran around Mustafi, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They skinned Mustafi.
But did he hit the post or he passed it to someone and someone else tried to take a shot? I
think he ran across the box and he shot it across Martinez, I think, and maybe Martinez got a touch and put it on the post, I think.
Yeah, that one. But the thing again there is that it was Mustafi who should have been defending it against him. He tried to go body to body with Kane.
Yeah, but that's what he's just saying. He's just saying it's our bad defense. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's our
No,
bad defense.
I'm not denying that. But what I'm trying to say is that after 80% possession, we had some good chances which we should have finished off as well.
Yeah,
We had some good chances. They had some good chances. That's the way it was, wasn't it? They took their chances better than ours.
I don't think you can blame Arteta in many ways, as many people have said. The only thing I would blame him for is was it really wise to take Saka out of the starting lineup?
Well, the thing is, Pepe. I think it was worth starting Pepe because he had a rest, and he has been looking a bit better recently. I can sort of understand him starting because that's his natural position than what Saka is. But when he saw that first half, for me, I would have brought on Saka at half time because Pepe's first half was absolutely shit.
Yeah.
And we needed that spark, to help us. And when Saka came on, we were much better straight away. So he should have come on at half time. That was another thing. But listen, Arteta, he did the right thing by starting with the same lineup. And the same formation because that's what's been working for us. So that's what you do. You don't change something that's not broken. But what we didn't I knew was going to happen. I said it in all my previews. I said, listen, we're facing Mourinho. He's going to do something to change it. He's going to, there's a reason we've never beaten him away. There's a reason he's known throughout the world as such a good manager. Tactically, he might not be the nicest guy in the world to get along with, but tactically he knows his stuff, and that's what he did with Tottenham yesterday. He actually changed their tactics. They went for a more flat 4-4-2, and that made our wing back play. It took away a lot of our wing back play. It made them a lot less effective, and that's what Mourinho wanted to do. He wanted to take away a lot of the initiative from Tierney and Bellerin, and that's what he managed to do. So it was, again, Mourinho did very, very well against us, and then in the second half he dropped lower and counter-attacked us, which is always the best way Mourinho plays, is on a counter-attack, like Atish said, and that's where they were effective in the second half. They just waited for their chances, and they took that chance. It came on a corner, but yeah, they had another couple of other chances as well. And it was Mourinho. Mourinho has to take a lot of credit for their performance because it was their change of formation that meant they played a lot better. And this is something I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about in the match reviews I've been listening to. None of them are giving Mourinho any credit because they're just saying, all of a sudden we weren't as good as we normally were, and blah 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 blah. Well, actually, what happened was Tottenham, who have been shit. Yeah, Tottenham have been shit lately. They've played poorly. But Mourinho, instead of going for the same thing, he changed it around, and that helped them. Their new tactics and their new style of play yesterday helped them, and they made them better. And that's where Mourinho actually showed. And that's what Mourinho actually showed for once. That he actually does know what he's doing. Yeah. So, but we'll have to see how it goes for them going forwards, because I know Mourinho has a lot of problems internally there with the players, and I think he has some problems with different levels of the organisation. So we'll see how it goes for him. But yesterday he pulled out another masterclass. That's what I have to say.
I was sick of it, Sam. All these people just going, "Oh, Spurs played rubbish." They
didn't to yesterday. Their last few games were rubbish. They had 0 shots on goal against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And then they had one. I think it was 1 or 2 shots on goal in the game before, and they got absolutely trounced the last 2 games they played. They looked dog shit. Even the Spurs fans, even that expressions guy is a funny guy. Even him, he wasn't feeling like Spurs were going to win the game. He was like, the best he was hoping for was a draw, and he's normally always very positive with Spurs. He was really, really downbeat about Spurs' chances, but Mourinho, he did his thing. He changed the tactics, he changed the strategy, and it worked.
Exactly. The thing is, Sam, I don't have no problem with people saying that Spurs played shit until that point, but there were people saying they played shit yesterday. There were people that don't understand football, because that was a great. His plan completely worked.
He did.
No,
He did work.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing to the fact that its plan did work, but they played shit yesterday as well. See the first goal, how they got it, a gift from Kolasinac. How
of
they got
course.
the second
How
goal,
how they play shit, Natish? How they play
yeah,
shit? They had some good
that is what I'm
chances to
saying.
score. They had some good chances to score.
See, they
Yes, they
had
did.
one good chance. For
No.
apart from
No,
that,
we just
initially,
said we
wait,
just said
listen,
it.
Kane hit the post. Son got through that Martinez
Yeah.
saved.
listen. The first half, Kane had one good chance to score where Martinez saved it, and the other chance that was only there was the goal which Kolasinac gifted him. So those were the two chances in the first half that they created. The second half, and in the first half as well, all they did was just body check players and like tackle them as hard as they could without getting booked. But some of their players still got booked. In the second half, what they did is they tried to defend. Then around 70 odd or 80 minutes, then they started playing those long balls. So for the last 10 minutes, that is when 10 or 15 minutes, that is when they actually played proper football. For the rest of the game, they were not doing anything. Also, what helped them was that our team was trying to overcome it and go for a win, and we ended up conceding because our defense is as bad or worse
I
than
disagree completely. They played.
Yeah.
If you compare their performance yesterday to their performance against Bournemouth and their performance in the game before that, they played a lot better yesterday. They played a lot better.
Because Bournemouth does not have a liability on their right wing, which we had yesterday. If Bournemouth had a liability on their right wing, our total right wing was a waste yesterday.
That's very
even though
simplistic
Bellerin
way
had
of
a
looking at it.
decent game.
They got zero. They managed to get 0 shots on target against Bournemouth. 0.
I understand that. What I'm trying to say is they play to a tactic and they try to make it work. Even yesterday, apart from the goal, they had one shot on target, which was a Martinez save where Kane tried to chip him.
They had several chances. They had several chances
In the first,
yesterday.
do you remember for around 70 odd minutes, apart from that one chip that Kane tried to make, there was no other chance created for him, or he was not even visible in the game?
I know Kane wasn't, but we had Son had a couple of chances, and that Moura had a couple of chances.
Moura took a wild shot which went into the stands.
Son actually got through, and the ball landed at his feet. And if it wasn't for Martinez, who came out so quickly and stopped it, Son would have had an open goal. He could have scored. But it was Martinez who took the ball from him, who did a really good job. He read where the ball was going. If it wasn't for Martinez, maybe Leno would have done the same thing because he's a good keeper as well. But if it wasn't for I'm talking about that. Still another chance they had. They had chances. They had chances, and they just took their chances better than ours.
I am not disagreeing to that.
Read this Adrian's comments because he seems to want.
All right, so he's the first thing he said was after this was, who do you guys think is going to finish in the top 4 of United, Chelsea, or Leicester? I think we were quite confident United and Chelsea because Leicester are falling off a cliff right now, and they have tough fixtures.
Yeah, Leicester are really, really poor at the moment. Chelsea are up and down like a yo-yo, aren't they? They win one game and lose the next, so they're very unstable. United are looking better. I mean, they're winning games and looking okay. So United, look like they could sneak in there if they continue now. The last games of the season, if they continue to win. So I mean, I don't think it's going to be Leicester. I think Leicester are going to continue to struggle, to be honest.
And Soyuncu's season is done.
Soyuncu's season is done, isn't he? Yeah.
That's a good point.
If he's got a 3-game suspension, he's done now, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and if we think about the other, Wolves are too far, I think, and Sheffield United
Wolves
are definitely
can make it. If Chelsea loses to Liverpool and Chelsea is beaten by Wolves and Wolves win their third game, other 2 games as well, Wolves are in.
Point. So Wolves could sneak in then, but
they could sneak in.
Wolves have been inconsistent as well, though. So we have no idea. It depends which Wolves turns up.
They have Burnley, Crystal Palace, and Chelsea. Even if they get 1-0 win in all 3 games, they are in the top 4 and Chelsea's out.
I'm just going to look at the league now. I'm just going to have a look at it now. So
Wolves is on 55. Chelsea is on
60, right?
60. Yeah, 60.
Yeah.
So
Leicester are 4th on 59.
Yeah, Wolves have to have a perfect record though. So,
but you got Manchester United tonight though that are playing their game in hand. They can go up to 61.
I think Southampton can do a City on United as well today. There is a possibility.
So if Manchester United win, they go up to 61. That pushes them up to third, and it pushes Chelsea to fourth at 60. So I mean, Wolverhampton still have a theoretical chance, but it's going to be difficult.
So those are the two then. Was going to say Wolves. It looks like Wolves or Chelsea will get the fourth spot, but that's up in arms because they play each other.
Yeah, unless Leicester all of a sudden start pulling something out of their arse. I don't know. They've been poor the last few games, but
guys. Going on tonight's game then, United Southampton. How do you think that'll go? Score? Asking for score.
I think United continue their good form. The players are playing well. You've got Greenwood playing well. You've got Fernandes playing well. Pogba's playing well. That midfield trio is working well. I don't think it's going to stop tonight against Southampton. Maybe Ings will get a goal because he's a good striker, and they do, have some decent play. They'll probably create, a few chances. But if Ings can maybe take one of those, maybe. But I could just see United scoring more than one goal. For me, it's going to be a United victory, I think.
I want another crazy scoreline like 5-2 or something, and Ings to do Maguire again, just so I can laugh at United fans.
No, I was also thinking so, but the thing is, I feel it's going to be a Redmond masterclass tonight.
Redmond of all people. Redmond.
I confuse between him and McGoldrick, but I think Redmond. See, the problem with Redmond is his finishing is pathetic. If that guy had a bit better finishing, he would be one of the top players in England because his dribbling is really good. He can dribble very well. He can hold the ball well, but his finishing is so bad that he'll make IOB shy away. So, but the thing is right now, as I said, that there is a chance that Southampton will definitely score. I think it might be another 4-2 or something like that. But the problem, one more thing is, I'm hoping that Southampton does a City to United. That is what I'm saying.
Oh, you're hoping for like a 1-0 McCarthy masterclass?
No, I'm hoping for a 2-0 Ings win.
I remember back at the 95 or 96 or something like that, and it was at the Dell. That was before they built St Mary's, the old Dell, the old Southampton ground, and they were playing home against United, and United were good then, and out of the blue, Southampton just absolutely skinned them that game. I'll never forget, because a Norwegian, Egil Østenstad, scored a hat-trick. His only hat-trick in his career. A Norwegian striker, decent striker, not brilliant, but decent. Played for Southampton at the time. That game, he just couldn't miss. It was like the game of his career. He just couldn't miss. And he scored a hat-trick that game, and Southampton won 6-3. It was a 6-3 victory to Southampton that game against United. That was an amazing game. I remember watching it on TV. I was like, "What the hell is going on?" It's like I was watching something out of some kind of like it wasn't real. Like a video game or something like that.
Yeah, I'd love Ings to get a hat trick because that would be lovely. Former player getting against United, but as well, all the Arsenal fans would burst into flames saying there's an agenda because there's another Englishman at the top of the scoring charts again.
Where were you, John, to back me up in that agenda debate? Come on, fucking hell! I was left by myself there. Only Daniel was backing me up.
I know. I was shocked that I saw Daniel backing you up. I was like, oh, honestly, I would be in there, but they don't invite me anymore. So probably.
Yeah, and after Sam left, it became a storytelling session. And I was like, what's going on here? What happened to the debate? I was here for a debate. Everyone is like, when I used to be a kid, I used to watch Arsenal. We used to do this. And Daniel went into story mode, and then everyone also went into story mode. And I thought this was a debate. And I was like, I have never even been to the UK. What story am I going to talk about? Like probably watching it on the TV, but and Kevin was busy on Tinder, swiping left, swiping right.
Yeah, he was. I remember he didn't say one thing until after 50 minutes.
Yeah, he was so.
Yeah. Ryan had to tell him, Kevin, you are on the show. You are actually on the live stream.
I was like, okay, can we hear from Kevin now? Because because Ryan was supposed to be moderating, but yeah, it wasn't easy because there were so many different people talking. Me and Richard basically.
If it was the same show, I did say a few things in chat, but Ryan never highlighted them because I was always blind enough. He's going off and about the agenda again. And he never
I have no
highlighted
idea. Yesterday I was writing so many comments and Ryan wasn't reading them. I don't know what was happening, but I was like, okay, fine. But I went off yesterday as soon as Richard started saying that there is no thing as mentality. I was like, okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. I was trying to. Well, you know what? I got shocked because when I actually brought up okay, we'll compare Adams to Mustafi. You're going to tell me that there's not a difference between them? And he was like, no, there's not a difference between them with mentality. I'm like, what? Well, what the hell? What?
Yeah.
No, that is the exact point that I was just looking like, why are we even having this debate? And I was like, okay, I'm already tired, so I can't take this now, and I'm done. I mean, there was no debate in that. There was no debate in that. Any footballer himself will say that there is mentality, there is talent, there is skill, there is a mix of everything. So I was just looking that I didn't understand. Were we trying to gain followers by just saying something silly at that point of time?
It was like every player wants to win the same amount. Mentality doesn't come into it. It's just like tiredness or something like that. He's like going on about tiredness and ability. I was like, what?
No, I agree. I agree with one thing that every player wants to win. There is no doubt.
Yes, of course.
But obviously the mentality comes in depending on how much will they have to put how much effort. That is about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that is done. I was like, that debate went on for like 10 minutes. I was like, okay, maybe it will stop now. Maybe they'll go to a next topic. Maybe there is something more coming up. But it went on, and I was already tired, and I was like, that's it. I'm done with this. I'm done.
I think my favorite part of, like, I think it was yesterday, was when Daniel said that Tony Adams is gonna bum Bella in the shower.
I love that. And I said, yes, like an Arsenal prison. Yeah. And Bella is a prison bitch.
Yeah, that was amazing. I was like, I could totally see that, him getting an elbow in the shower or something.
Adam just going, bend over, boy. Bend over.
Yeah, I was just watching the second season of Sacred Games. They make a cop bend over and beat him with the small bat. Yeah. There is a small bat kind of thing which they used to beat up clothes when they tried to clean it. So if you know that, so that they were using to beat up that cop. So you can imagine Adams doing that to Bellerin.
Just smacking him around. Jesus.
He'll turn red like a tomato, Spanish tomato.
Yeah, so Adrian was saying that you could see the Spurs players were shocked they won at the end.
No, I don't agree. They weren't shocked. They weren't shocked. They were happy. They were happy. That's what it was. They weren't shocked.
Happy and shocked. If we saw Alderweireld's reaction and some of the other reactions. How the hell did we win this? We weren't even playing that well. Just see the reaction of when they scored the second goal. And obviously Kolasinac, I said this before to you, Sam, as well. Kolasinac was just surviving there as well because of the formation. Otherwise, Tierney was yelling at him in that game against, I think it was before the Leicester one, maybe Sheffield or Southampton. I don't remember. One game, Tierney spent around 5 or 8 minutes yelling at him, and he wasn't still improving. And yesterday, he clearly, if yesterday anyone blamed David Luiz for that goal, that guy, I don't want to have a debate with him, because then he has hate for David Luiz. It was a pass. It was a very fast pass. David Luiz isn't fast. Anyone who knows how fast David Luiz will know that he cannot get that ball.
It was flat-footed as well, wasn't he? He wasn't ready for. He wasn't ready for that pass, was he?
There was no need to play it back. No, there was no logic in playing it back. And if you saw Kolasinac's pass map, the stat map that I shared.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Apart from 2 or 3 passes, which were incomplete passes, he did not play a single pass forward.
Listen, for me, I mean, I agree. It is Kolasinac's fault. That pass was terrible. He shouldn't have played it, and he played it the wrong way. And he made it really, really, really difficult for Luiz. I agree. It is his fault. But the thing is, even when Luiz managed to catch up to Son managed to to push him off the ball. That's what I reacted to. Luiz should have been stronger when he managed to get to Son. But listen, it's Kolasinac's fault. It is. That pass should never have happened. It should never happen. That
only
pass.
thing I can say is Luis probably didn't go in like he did previously because he's already been sent off this season twice.
Maybe.
So he didn't want to do that mistake again. If he would have done that, probably it would have been a third sending off. So I'm happy that he actually didn't do that. But eventually, obviously, the result didn't go in our favor. But then, obviously, you can't play that kind of a pass backwards.
No, it was terrible.
Ambulance pass, that was, terrible.
It was really bad. And for me, Kolasinac, he hasn't been that bad the last few. I know you don't like him in this issue. That's fine.
No, because he was also
my favorite player
for the Sheffield goal. If you remember, he and Holding were two guilty parties. And even against Brighton, he wasn't that good. So I think he played against Brighton as well. He came on as a substitute, if I remember. So 3 games I have seen that. See, when we say David Luiz is not good enough for the team to play against some of the big sides.
Kolasinac is not good either. Of course not. He's not good enough. Yeah.
And he's making those errors against smaller teams as well.
Well, I would say those entire three, Kolasinac, Luiz, and Mustafi shouldn't be playing for Arsenal, in my opinion. We should. We're getting Saliba in. We'll see how he does. Marie, I think is okay, and Holding, I think is okay when he's fit and consistent. It's those three really in the central that we need to be keeping. The rest we can just bin. Mavropanos, Socrates, Mustafi, Luiz, and Chambers. All of those, we get rid of all of those. And then we have to bring in one or at least one decent, centre back, a good one. To bring in.
I'm happy that the Xhaka fanboys will now finally shut up, which they should have actually been shut up in the first game after the restart. When he went off,
they haven't shut up, Nitesh. They're still going on. I heard someone saying that he did a 30-yard screamer pass and basically got an assist. What are they making up? Where are they making up this rubbish from?
No, I'm not talking about that. They were trying to say that when Xhaka is in the team, he plays 90 minutes. We have been unbeaten this season and all those things.
It's over now, isn't it?
Yes, that is what I'm finally done with. I don't have to see that online because I am not saying he's played bad, but such stats are pathetic when you know that he went off injured in a game against City where we would have been hammered literally. And hopefully if he produces something good against City in the FA Cup, then probably, yes, he has done some justice to those claims, but I would still not be bragging about it because we know how bad Xhaka is overall.
Yeah.
So
he made a couple of bad passes again yesterday. He gives the ball away too easily, and he's so slow. He's so slow with everything he does, and he gives the ball away easily. And we can't have a player at that level in our midfield. Well, sorry, we just can't.
Nitesh, he started that game, by the way, against Brighton. I just looked it up. He started.
Yeah, he started against Kolasinac. Started then, yeah. And the defense is not good enough there as well. Fortunately, after that, we found a formation which we used well. But then I was not expecting Arsenal to beat Southampton, but we lost to Brighton and we beat Southampton because Southampton was in good form.
Yeah.
And we blew the game where we were not supposed to blow, and when we were not expected to win, we won again. So that's typical Arsenal.
Arsenal's a lottery, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I really think we're going to do a number on Liverpool on Wednesday. I really do. I'm sorry, John, but I think we will because you guys are on holiday. If it was a match that actually counted, and you guys still needed to win the league, it would be completely different, and you'll be spanking us. But now, when you guys are on holiday mentally, and we've just lost a game against Spurs, and we want to prove something, and we're playing at the Emirates, I think we're going to do a number on you guys because, again, what Nitish said as well is completely not what people expect. No one expects Arsenal to beat Liverpool really apart from Arsenal fans. Expect Arsenal to beat Liverpool on Wednesday, but I think we will. I think we'll win like 3-0 or something like that. I really do.
It's at the Emirates, right?
Yeah, it's at the Emirates. Yeah.
So Firmino can score because if it was
don't start that fucking debate. Don't start that.
I'm not starting the debate. The logic that will now come in will be that Salah is out of form, Firmino is out of form, so Liverpool.
Yeah, but they're not playing, Nitish. They're not playing. They're not playing. They're not there. They're mentally, they're not there, Nitish.
No, Salah wastes chances on any normal day as well.
Yes.
So there is
Yeah,
no.
but it's
that
going
is
to
nothing.
be extra. He's still one of the top scorers. The thing is,
Yeah, no doubt.
lately he's missed a lot of chances, but it's because he's not there mentally. He's not there.
I disagree on that. In one thing, they wanted to continue that undefeated run. It was clear. They mentioned it as well. Klopp also said that they're going
Yeah,
for
but the
the
players,
point.
listen, you talk to any
That
you
plot,
talk to any player, they say the same thing. If there's nothing on the line, nothing to play for, you subconsciously, you're not playing at the same level. You're not giving 110%, you're giving 90%. And that 90% instead of 110% is a big difference,
No, but Pope made
uh,
the saves against
yeah.
Burnley. Come on. Salah had decent chances. It's not that he was
Yeah,
taking.
Salah's been fucking up as well. Salah's not been as great as he normally has. That's fine. I'm talking about Liverpool as a team. Liverpool as a team now, they're away on holiday mentally. They're not playing they're not playing at the level they normally play at, and it's because of that. It's not because they've suddenly turned shit. It's because they're not there. If these were games that counted, they had to win these games to win the league or whatever, it would be completely different.
Yeah,
I agree.
that Rodriguez goal doesn't happen because you see Van Dijk turn his back on a ball. He's never done that as a Liverpool player. Obviously they're on the beach.
Actually, what I will also say is they didn't expect him to take a sudden shot. He took a sudden shot, so that is why also it went into goal. They were not expecting that shot as well, and they were not expecting Burnley to play the way that Burnley played. Also, they were like they really wanted to go for that win. The other thing is, if you see, I think Salah had around 10 shots against Burnley,
Yeah.
or like so. If I agree that he's not mentally there 100%, but then 10 shots, he should be at least converting 1 out of 10.
Yes, I agree. No one's saying that. He's still creating those chances, and he's still a good player.
I'm hoping for a better performance against Arsenal. You better do something.
He might score against
I
Arsenal. Against Arsenal.
I get the feeling Klopp may actually put him on the bench against Arsenal.
Maybe,
I get that
maybe.
feeling.
I just think because Liverpool aren't there, mentally, they're not giving 100%. We've just lost against Spurs and we're pissed and we should have some. We want to try and prove something. We're also at the Emirates where we normally play better than we do away. I just think all of a sudden now we're gonna, against all odds and against what everyone thinks. I think all of a sudden we're gonna play well against Liverpool.
And against Burnley, there was that other midfielder. I forget his name. Who was the kid who came into the team?
Curtis Jones, yeah.
Curtis Jones. He got a lot of good chances. They created a lot of good chances for him. He also wasted them. But obviously, he's a kid. I'm not saying that. But Liverpool was actually creating a lot of good chances in the first half. If only they had finished.
Pope had he was God in goal, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So
there was one from Mane in the top corner that you could save as well. Yeah.
Pope had one of the games of his career, and the Liverpool players not converting their chances. I mean, Liverpool should have won that game like 4 or 5-0 basically, or 4 or 5-1, but they didn't. Pope was great. The players were just missing, and every now and again, it happens. I remember the most frustrating game I've ever seen for Arsenal back in 2002 or 3. I'll never forget, we played Bolton away. Bolton was like a bogey team back then. Bolton Wanderers. And we played them away. And I think it was a 2002 season. We played them away and they had this goalkeeper. He was quite a good goalkeeper. He was Brannigan or something like that. His name was. I can't remember his name exactly now, but something Brannigan. I think his name. I think it's 2002. I'll try and check. Anyway, I don't want to waste time trying to check now because I'll have to check. But I think Keith Brannigan. His name was Keith Brannigan. Brannigan, I think his name was his goalkeeper, Bolton goalkeeper. And we played them away. I think it was a 2002 or 2003 season. 2002, 2003, or 2002, 2001, 2002, around that time. And we played Bolton away, and at that time Bolton was like a bogey team. It was always tough to play them, even though we were a lot better. And we played them away. And I remember we were just around their goal, shooting at their goal the whole game. And this Brannigan, he saved everything. He had one of the best keeper performances I've ever seen. He just saved everything. I think we hit the post about twice as well, and he saved everything else. And they ended up winning 1-0. They beat us 1-0, Bolton, in that game. And we just absolutely thrashed him in play. We just couldn't score. It was an absolute joke. It really was. I'm going to try and find the game. You guys...
I was going to say, was it? I was going to ask before you said who the keeper's name was. I was going to use that before you see Jääskeläinen, because he's the famous Bolton goalkeeper.
Yeah, Jääskeläinen.
No, this is Keith. I remember it's Keith Brannigan. It's Keith Brannigan. He had, my God, he was before Jääskeläinen.
Jääskeläinen was later on. He wasn't in 2002.
Yeah,
so I remember.
I was going to say, once you said the year, I was like, it's definitely further than that, yeah.
Yeah, but I remember it's Brannigan. He was, my God.
Well, that game was very similar because, like you said, we had so many chances. Firmino hit the post as well and should have scored. And usual. This has been a thing. This has been a thing for a Liverpool fan as long as I can remember. We always have games where we never could score our chances, and it always happens.
And Simply shared a stat that Aubameyang hasn't scored an away league goal since January. So
wow.
That is
I saw that.
Yeah.
He's playing out left, isn't he?
Yeah. And did you? No, not just that. He's scoring home goals, but he's not scored away. So that is another problem, and which was with Lacazette as well, as we were saying that 1.5 year no goal. And did you just check out I sent a team who scored 148 points, triple captain on Antonio. He scored 148 in this game week.
148.
That's the highest of the game week. I think they make multiple accounts and they use triple captain on Antonio. I think there is some game week price. So triple captain Antonio, and he got a total of 148 because 78 from Antonio.
Yeah, so what do you think about this? None of our centre backs are good aren't good enough. Saliba's a class talent and could be the key. He just needs a good experienced centre back next to him.
Can't confirm yet. He is good. I'm not saying Saliba is not, but let's not put too much pressure on him even before he comes to the club. If you start expecting miracles from him, Arsenal doesn't produce miracles anymore. That stopped after 2004. If miracles would happen after 2004, then maybe we would have won the Champions League in 2006.
I agree. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on this Saliba. He's like, and one real good thing I did see from AFTV, surprisingly, they did say something good, was he's gonna. They better not give these guys contracts, because if Saliba's playing around this trash, he's gonna get infected by some of it, and he's gonna pick up some bad habits from the likes of Mustafi and Luis and that, and he should just be coming in with someone. Well, maybe Mari. Hopefully, he'll be playing more with Mari next season.
That's what she said. He should be just coming in.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
That was pretty great. Yeah, he's put his lineup as well. I don't know what you guys would if you guys would swap anything. I'm assuming he's gone Saliba and Holding at the back.
No, why would you go with Holding when you have Pablo Mari?
Would Mari be back by the beginning of the season?
Yes, probably.
Yeah, I would. I don't rate Holding either. Like, he played well under Emery at the start, didn't he? But since that injury, he hasn't been good.
He's fragile. That is the problem. He's fragile right now. Again, Torreira party great. Oba Pepe not so great. Why would you play Pepe? See, right now, if Pepe doesn't perform in the next few games, like before the end of the season, we have 4 games left. 1 is the FA Cup match, 3 are the Premier League matches. If Pepe can't get his act together, then he is on the same list as Lacazette probably. But yesterday's one bad game, I don't blame him that he should be sold or all those things just because he had a poor game against Spurs. If he had a poor game, it is Arteta's job to get him off, which he's not doing.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely a thing. Arteta takes way too long with the subs. He takes way too long. It's 80. A lot of these matches I'm watching, it's the 80th minute before he brings on subs. That's ridiculous.
I said it yesterday. Arteta needs to remember there is no extra time in this game. Hopefully he remembers. But he unfortunately.
I found the game, guys. It was actually my bad. It was a lot long before. It was long before I thought it was. It was
Oh,
actually the 95-96 season. That's what it was.
wow.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
because
guys.
I was 2 years old then, yeah.
Bolton won one. It was on the 30th of October, 1995. We played Bolton away. They won 1-0. It was that game. My God, that game was. We should have thrashed them that game, and we didn't. Brannigan, he was absolutely. It was like Spider-Man. He was.
yeah, and because as I said, the keeper that John mentioned, I remembered his name. What Jaskalainen?
Yes,
Yes,
I
Glenn.
like
Yeah, he was much
it.
later. He was much later. Yeah, he was much
Yeah.
later.
He was around the
Yeah.
2003 or 2004 time.
Yeah,
around
around
that
then,
time.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and
He
that
was a
is when
good. He was a good goalkeeper as well. I remember we were linked.
Yeah.
We were linked with him a couple of times. I think, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
And I think he was also representing the national side that he played for at one point of time.
Yeah, Finland. Yeah, plays for Finland. Yeah.
Yeah, and after he left them, or he became old and he started making errors because of age, and I think possibly left. Bolton got relegated eventually. Then they were in the top flight, and then
Yeah.
eventually fell down as well.
Yeah, didn't they had Big Sam for so long, didn't they? And he was
Yeah.
he was doing
Yeah.
great with some of those players. Yeah, he got an Elka from you guys, didn't he, as well? Or was
Yeah,
it?
That's right. Anelka was there. But which club was Anelka? I mean, he played for every club there was.
Yeah, he was a club whore.
He was a club whore. He was. Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah.
they had Lennon. They started off with Lennon and some of the other players as well, and then eventually
I
when
remember
they
that.
left,
My favorite with I don't know if you guys remember him. Maybe you're a bit too young to see him in his prime. Again, this is mid '90s when Bolton were in the Premier League. JJ Okocha. JJ Okocha. Oh, what a player he was! I tell you what, he was amazing. He was, I think he's Nigerian.
Yeah, he is Nigerian. Yeah.
And he was just levels above everyone else on his team. And the thing was, everyone every year, like, United are going to buy him. Liverpool are going to buy him. He never left Bolton. He stayed with Bolton until he eventually went somewhere. I can't remember where when he was a bit older, but he was amazing. JJ Koch, he was so good.
I think the Premier League official page had recently shared a video of him. That is why I remember now.
Yeah, you should take a look at his highlights. He was a really good player.
And a good dribbler with the ball as well. I think that is what they were.
Yeah, he dribbled. He was a great dribbler and a good passer. He's a real playmaker. He's a real playmaker for Bolton. Yeah.
Sam, you'll know this player, but for some reason his second name is escaping me. He was in the Bolton midfield for so long. Something with Kevin, and he played for Newcastle.
Oh, Kevin.
It surely wasn't Kevin Hart.
he had a very English name as well.
Kevin. Yeah, Kevin at Bolton. Bloody hell was that?
Kevin Nolan.
Kevin Nolan, that's it. Yes, Nolan at Bolton.
Oh, he was.
He even became Bolton manager later. He became Bolton manager later.
Yeah, he was a class player. So this is what I loved about the Premier League in those type of years. There were so many class players all over the place in the league, and they were scoring worldies and having performances.
Yeah.
And now it's
Liverpool tried to sign a lot of young players, including that Downing, I think, what was his name, from Middlesbrough, and all those guys, which never worked.
Yeah, he was a hot prospect. He was a hot prospect out left. He was a left-sided midfielder, left wing. Yeah, Stuart Downing.
Stuart Downing.
Yeah. A lot of flops, was it? Charlie Adams and all these type of guys from lower clubs.
Charlie Adams was actually good. I did not dislike him, but I think he had discipline problems. That was his issue.
Yeah. He liked a good drink as well. I heard apparently.
Yeah.
So.
Your favorite Ricky Lambert and Mario Balotelli.
What a bunch of clowns. Honestly.
I think they sold Suarez and got Balotelli in, right? That was the biggest joke that they made on the club.
Oh yeah, Jesus, yeah. It's hilarious. It's like, can you remember the conscious of the signing? It's like we're bringing in Luis Suarez and Andy Carroll. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Andy Carroll. That was the biggest flop in history. Jesus.
Oh,
that fee you guys paid for him back then was absolutely ridiculous.
35 million it was at the time.
35 million for a Newcastle player back then, and that was like that. I mean, back then that was like 70 million now. In today's terms.
The mistake Liverpool made was the same one like we made with Giroud. You can't play grounded passes and grounded football for a player whose best ability is in the air. Simple as that.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's true.
and,
Carroll was very good in the air.
and
Carroll
I seem to remember him scoring a double against you and then completely getting injured for like all of time in Liverpool. He played like 1 or 2 games like every season. I'm like,
he managed to score against Arsenal, of course. You know, we always make sure players score against us.
The only player who was very good at adapting and somehow did a decent job for you guys was Peter Crouch.
Oh, absolutely. Crouch
he did a good job.
Crouch was superb. Yeah.
If he couldn't adapt to that style of play and you still kept feeding him the same, then he would have been another Carroll. But he did adapt a bit to the style and he did play grounded football a bit as well because he had decent finishing from his foot as well.
I seem to remember him doing it like he did so many overhead kicks and stuff like that. You're like,
he scored that one, didn't he? He had that one worldie, didn't he? That one overhead kick. He never lives that one down. He never lives it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course he's famous for the robot, isn't he, as well?
Yeah. But you know who's better than Crouch?
Oh no.
Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, he managed an overhead kick now as well, didn't he? He finally got an overhead kick, yeah.
Danny Welbeck greater than Ronaldo.
That added 20 million to his value, that one kick, I think.
Yeah, remember another one, Emil Heskey. The meme lord himself. Emil
Heskey was so... At Leicester, right? So the thing was, at Leicester, he was a good player. He was a good player at Leicester because he was so fast, and he was fast and strong. He's a big guy, but fast. A bit like, that Traore. A bit like him, And he scored goals at Leicester, and he was. But then he never. When he moved on from Leicester, he never refound that, that ability. He was always just fast and no end product,
Yeah, because we never played him as the main man, did we? Because we had Owen, and he was always just a side man for Owen.
You know what the funny part is? One of these channels invited Heskey and the other player they invited for Ashley Cole for Arsenal, for the Arsenal-Leicester game. I mean, who in their right mind will invite Ashley Cole to an Arsenal game representing Arsenal? They seriously have no sense.
Yeah.
Arsenal fans must be watching. They must be thinking, okay, it's Leicester versus Arsenal. Heskey for Leicester, Ashley Cole for Arsenal. I mean, are they trying to take a dig at us directly? If you want to take a dig at us directly, just take it directly.
It's a bit of a shady way to take a dig, isn't it? Yeah, so what do you guys think about this comment? He says you guys have to focus on the FA Cup. So he's saying that you're going to rest players against us. What do you guys think?
I think Arteta has done that. Because of that, Saka was not started. He thought Pepe will do the job and Saka will start the full game against City. And that is what I think he wanted to do. And by the way, we may not rest our players against you unless we have injuries, because if we end up losing to City, we are out of the FA Cup, and the only hope then we have is to beat you and the other two teams and then try for a Europa League spot.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, the thing is, we're still going for the Europa League spot. So I think we're gonna field our strongest team that we can. Maybe he'll save 1 or 2 players for the City game, but I don't think so. I think he's going to field the strongest team because, like Nitty said, we're still going for a Europa League spot. We've still got a chance for that. So he wouldn't rest players, and I wouldn't.
Yeah, a lot. There is. I'm glad you guys want the Europa League. There's a lot of Arsenal fans saying, "Oh, we could do with it playing outside the Europa League." I'm just tired of that rubbish. Like, you need the games.
Why does everyone think that the Europa League is like running an additional 10,000 miles or something like that?
Yeah,
you just play a few games in the group stage, which are a good chance for the second team players and some of the younger talents to be tested. You don't always play your first team unless you even end up losing a few games, which doesn't happen too often. The only real phase of that competition starts in the knockouts. Arsenal is never going to get eliminated in the group stages, even if their second team plays in those games. So that is not too much hectic. The only real part starts, as I said, in the knockout stages, that too when we have some good competition against us. So why are they complaining if we get an additional 25 million for being part of a competition where we don't really have to exert too much? If they want to get rid of a competition, stop playing in the FA Cup, because right now that seems to be the competition apart from the league that we take the most seriously. We don't even take the Europa League that seriously unless we reach the semi-finals or the finals. So if you want to say that we want to drop out a competition because we don't want to have a distraction, get rid of the FA Cup. Don't play in the FA Cup.
It's probably selfish personal reasons. It's probably that these idiots from AFTV don't want to travel to the places. Like, I don't want to be in the
Not
competition.
just that. Not just that. You know what they'll say? The FA Cup is our competition because we have won it the most times. So we can't be out of the FA Cup, but we can be out of the Europa League.
Yeah, did you see Ty blame the ref again yesterday?
How can you blame the ref? The ref didn't do much wrong at all.
Yeah, you remember when you said like there isn't like, remember Russ on the chat was like, he's done it 4 times. Winks, he's done it 4 times. Give him a card. And like all the AFTV people were the same. Winks, how's he getting away with that? We all got up. It's like, oh, you guys.
No, I do agree. I do agree. He deserved a yellow because he was doing some pulling people down, and at least 4 to 5 times when you do the same thing, you deserve a yellow card. But I'm not saying he would have been sent off, but I'm saying he deserved a yellow because then that plays on your mentality that you can't again do the same thing, and that can have an impact. So if you get booked, and again the Brighton player that didn't get booked even after 10 chances, those guys deserve to be booked. And when they get booked, like, because what happens is when Xhaka is booked or when a defender is booked,
it's not just against you though. That Brighton player, from what I've heard, gets away with it in a lot of games. From what I've been hearing, I think he got away with it like another game recently again. Like, he just keeps taking players out and getting away with it.
So those refs need to have some consistency. If he's doing at least, see, there used to be this logic that if you do silly fouls, like you pull someone's shirt or you do it thrice, not in a goal scoring opportunity, then you get booked. Now, if someone is doing it not thrice, okay, maybe say 5 or 6 times, at least then you need to show him a card. So that if that doesn't happen, then you start questioning the consistency. And with respect to again the Licelso yellow card, which could have been a red card, I am not saying it was 100% a red card, but I think that what I saw, it could possibly have been a red card because as I said, there was no other player around. The ball was not even there. He just puts his hand up just to stop Ceballos from running, and it hits him in the face. Like, he puts his hand in the face. So if you guys can also see that replay, maybe I can also see it again, and we can determine whether it should have been a red card or not. But right now, I think it could have been a red card. So maybe that is what also they might be highlighting, that how an off-the-ball player, 2 off-the-ball players who are not even challenging for the ball, one of them puts his hand in another player's face and doesn't get sent off.
I just remember watching that thing live as it happened. And to me, I didn't see anything like intentional or bad or anything like that. It just didn't look bad. And then I think you're making a lot more out of it than what it was. It wasn't.
No, because there wasn't any turn kind of thing. He was facing Ceballos, and he has put his hand
so much out of it just because someone someone else's face.
I definitely.
You're making so much out of so little. I mean.
This is the ridiculousness of the rules, though, Sam. Like, discrepancies like that need to be put in the rules because like every face touch shouldn't be let's give him a red card for that. That's ridiculous.
No, it wasn't a touch. It was Ceballos running past him, and he's put his hand in the face to stop him. So that is.
Oh yeah, I remember something.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
I remember something, Sam.
I'm not saying it is 100% red, but we can just review it maybe on a stream.
Yeah. You know when Ryan went off about the Robertson and yelling at the ref and he should be fined. Oh my god, I nearly lost it there. I was like, are you fucking kidding?
See, if the ref had a problem, he would have booked him. As simple as that. If the ref had a problem, he would have booked him.
I mean, like, if he would have gotten in his face and shoved him down or something, I'd be like, fine, yeah, he definitely should be punished for that. But like, you just like, we just drew the game, and like, no player wants to lose, and we know Robertson is very competitive, so sometimes it'll just come out. It's not like I don't think I've seen this from him before. If not, it's not been as
well. We've seen Wenger talk to the referee. We've seen our players talk to the referee after games. Okay, they might not swear at them because they're probably not swearing at them, but you don't get banned for swearing at the referee. I mean, if you got banned for swearing at the referee, there would be no one playing football.
Yeah, and everyone uses fuck off at least basic. That's a basic word that everyone says. So, and as I said, if the referee had a problem, he would book him. And the two things, maybe because one, their record broke, that unbeaten one, and at home, I think they were going for that as well. And the other thing is,
we're not unbeaten. It was home wins. That's what we're going for. That's
home wins. Yeah, so consecutive home wins, right? Unbeaten at home.
I want to, you guys, when you get a chance, what you got to do is on YouTube, you got to search for David Ellery, Mike. David Ellery and on microphone or something like that, because they did this for a I can't remember. I think it was with BBC or something like ITV or something like that. In 1986, they mic'd up a referee, David Ellery, who was basically one of the best referees in England at the time. They gave him a microphone for an Arsenal. It's turned out to be an Arsenal game. They gave him the microphone.
Millwall versus Arsenal.
Pardon?
Millwall versus Arsenal.
Yeah, it was a Millwall versus Arsenal game in 1986, and they gave Ellery a microphone in the game just to see what things are like from a referee's perspective, how he talks to players and how players talk to him. And
they never did it again.
And they never did it again because they even told both sets of teams. They said, "Listen, it's going to be recorded. You know, the referee's going to be recorded this game." And they were like, "Okay," and then they didn't care. And you could hear all the players say, "Oh, fuck you off! How can you fucking give that? Oh, you fucking idiot!" And all this and all that. And he doesn't react to it. He just doesn't. But then what he reacts to is Tony Adams. Tony Adams, he hasn't given like a card or something like that, some kind of inconsistency. Tony Adams says, "You're a fucking cheat." And that David Ellery reacts and said, "Come here, Tony." He says, "Come here." And so Tony comes over and says, "Yes." He says, "Listen, you don't call me a cheat, okay? No, blah, blah, that's over the line, blah, blah, blah." And I said, okay. And he basically, Tony Adams screamed at me, "You fucking cheat." I mean, this is the way it is on the football pitch, you can't give bans out for these things.
It's like that Serena Williams thing that happened when she called the referee a cheat, the umpire, tennis umpire. But yeah, again, what I was saying is that is basic language. So if a referee has a problem, he can book him after the game as well. Yeah. So we don't need to get into bother about it. But yeah, one thing, it wasn't a penalty for me.
Well, you saying that Robertson wasn't a penalty?
Yeah. He got part of the ball. He got the ball first. He got.
This is the test. This is the test wanting views. He wants views. Look at him. Look at him. He wants views.
You're the only person that said that. I've seen say it's a clear penalty. Every single person.
I'll tell you why. The only reason he survived it was because he got some part of the ball. And the ball moves in that direction as seen by the referee. And that is why he got the benefit of the doubt. If he did not touch the ball, which he had a toe poke at it, it was a clear penalty. But because he got the ball, the referee has given him the benefit of the doubt.
What about all the other penalties that we never get? But apparently Ryan says because we won the league already, we don't deserve any more penalties.
Oh, no, that's a different debate. That's the agenda debate, remember?
I'm not getting into that. But the thing is, if you see, the player goes down before Robertson. Robertson comes from the back and he's caught in the follow through. And his toe has already touched the ball. The ball goes in the direction where he has kicked it, and that is why he has not given him the penalty.
What was it start up though? I can't remember if it was. I need to watch it again, but
just watch it. You'll see that his toe touches the ball and it moves in that direction where he kicks it. But Robertson gets caught in the follow through. He comes from behind. He's not even tackling Robertson. He's going for the ball. He's sliding to get the ball away. So if you see that, that's what the referee has seen. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I've got to step away for a little bit. I've got some stuff I need to do.
Yeah, all right.
So I'm going to step away for a little bit.
We've already gone for 2 hours.
If you're still on when I get back, I'll hop back on. If not, then I'll see you guys later. Okay.
It's all right, Sam. We'll wrap up now because like Nitesh says, we're going for 2 hours. I think Nitesh said he has to go after a while, and he's probably been here too long as well. So We'll wrap up the show now. Thanks for everyone who's tuned in. Thanks, Adrian, for being in the chat while we've been doing
the like
this.
button.
Yeah, everybody hit the like button. I'm going to move you on to the guest now, so you can plug your stuff. We'll start with Sam. So
yeah, thanks for having me, John. It's been fun as always to talk to you guys. I've got my own channel called Sam Greenwood TV. Please check it out, subscribe. I do mainly late evening chats about Arsenal and football stuff related in general, current topics, current issues. Like I'll probably be doing something about FFP or something like that tonight if I could be bothered. I don't know if I will now because we've been through it here. But yeah, anyway, normal stuff like that. I'll do some quizzes here and there when I have time. And also I'm on everyone else's channels as well, doing watch-alongs and reviews and previews and fantasy Premier League stuff. And yeah, so check out their channels as well, like the Blind Gooner. Natish here above me, he's got his Facebook page, and he's on YouTube as well with Beyond the Posts. The Blind Gooner, Simpy's channel, and Ryan's channel, Mr. Arsenal Podcast. Check those out as well. And yeah, thanks for having me again. It's been fun. Big up to Adrian in the chat being with us tonight. Adrian, listen, we've got to go now, bro. So we're going. Anyway, thanks for being here, and it's been good fun.
Yeah, all right, Nitesh.
He was saying, Adrian was saying that I like to trigger people.
Yeah. Definitely.
But Adrian, you can just watch the video. You will see that because of that touch, he has given the benefit of the doubt. And I hope that they attach mics to probably the referees again, so that we know why they are not giving the decisions or what they are getting an update from the VAR department at least, so that everyone knows, and then we can take their case better on Twitter. Anyways, thank you for having me, and I hope Sam does a quiz probably on Arsenal versus Liverpool. Even I am planning something related to that. We can collaborate on that, and you can find me on Beyond the Post on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook as well. And I also have a website called beyondthepost.net where we post written content, and I will be publishing more articles to follow. Thank you.
Well, yeah, cheers, guys, for joining me. And that's been the debate about the Man City ban and general Arsenal talk after that. But thanks for joining me.
We talked everything. Come on, we talked everything.
Yeah, pretty much Premier League talk, everything, really. Yeah. But thanks, everyone, for joining me. And see you guys. See everyone later.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.